What's up, bossos? We just got off the stream for Stellar Blade, NieR Automata, NIKKE, and they announced the rerun on July 3rd for NieR. Now, I want to talk a little bit about these characters and why they are, of course, bait. But before that, if you like them, if you're just looking to complete your Pokédex, get the characters. Ignore videos like this. If you like a unit, why are you looking at a meta perspective video? It doesn't matter, right? You like a character, go get them. But I want to talk a little bit about if it's worth pulling for them and if you should be pulling for dupes or not. Like them or not, waifu or not, my opinion is like a copy is more than enough in NIKKE. There is no reason to be going for MLB on anything in this game currently at the pace we have. After the 160 wall, it's too expensive with how many units we get to go for more than one copy on anything. Anything, don't care how meta it is. Now, let's talk a little bit about these two characters, of course, A2 and 2B, and also about Pascal. Before we start, leave a like, subscribe, and make the channel. And hello there, let's welcome back to the waifus. Today's topic, should you invest in Pascal, like I did, fully invested? I'm talking a little bit about the NieR rerun, and if it's worth or not pulling for these characters and investing in them. I want to talk a little bit about the current meta in the game. Let me know what a little bit this music here, so it's not bothering us too much. So when we talk about like current meta in the game, right? Like, what are these two characters right now when it comes to abnormal characters? Sadly, only the second part of Eva was really good in terms of meta. In fact, I'm gonna be honest, both Reis could be moved down to a T2 and keep both Asukas on top, because both Asukas are really good, while both Reis are playing just a support role. Mary is also fantastic, but outside of Evangelion, everything else after those collabs came out was basically useless. And this happened with everything. Chainsaw Man didn't saw any usage after the first raid. ReZero and of course NieR after the collaborations came out, they didn't see single ounce of usage either. So it's like, it's nice to get them for collection purposes for your Pokédex, but these are characters that by today's standards are pretty bad. Even if we consider talking about raids, and we talk about like the last solo raid that was weak to fire, which is where you would be putting 2B and A2, right? You are better off running a full Electro team rather than going for putting 2B on, for example, your Cindy Rogue team for the max HP. That's like how, not useless they are, but how bad they are. The last 5-week one was this one, Modernia Season 21. And if you go to teams right here, and we go to 2B, you'll see that the best parses were like 3-wheel always on this team, which is the Cinderella team. That's like the only place it was used. There is a couple more teams here with volume instead. There is a team down here with Red Hood and a team down here with the Doro. But this is pretty old. This is pretty old by standards on what we have right now. So I will say these characters are nothing but for a collector. If you're a free-to-play that cares about meta, they are not worth getting. I say that, but at the same time, right, there's a clear reason to be getting them. When it comes to the meta, these characters are just not scaling properly. They're kids, in contrast to what we are currently getting, are just weak. They are weak characters. Even if we talk about fire, right, because both of these characters are fire. Right now, there is just so many better options to go for. You have your Rapid Red Hood, you have your Direct Treasure. Even Grave is going to be doing more damage than most of the time AA2 or 2B. You have your Mihara, the new one, and of course you have your Fire Asuka. Even the Miranda Treasure, it's like a better investment. And I'm not even considering Alice is out of the synchro, but Alice, of course, one of the strongest damage dealers in the game. So the options for Fire are a lot better nowadays in contrast to 2B and A2. Now again, if you want to be getting them, you have to understand that 2B can be used on this Electro Max HP team, so she can find a place in there, even though her damage is going to be underwhelming, because first of all, she needs to be bursting at least 3 times to ramp up her skill 1 damage, and then she does not get that many buffs on her own, in contrast to what we're getting nowadays. If you look at Fire Asuka, for example, right? Your Fire Asuka is getting a lot more out of here. She's giving herself 83% attack. She's giving herself a 121 attack damage, pierce, the hit rate, HP recovery. That's the difference as to why these characters are a lot worse. When they came out, the meta was different and they were decent, but by today's standards, they are just lacking a lot. We do have some more distribute damage buffers, but it's still not worth using with 2B. She benefits more from that HP. And when it comes to A2, she's even on a worse spot than 2B. A2 is probably the character I would recommend not even touching, not even going for her banner. It's not worth it. She sucks. Her whole kit goes around getting parts and having a healer that can sustain mode B. Those are like her two things, right? Most of her damage is coming to damage increase to parts, so if there is not the boss with parts, she is losing part of her kit, and then the only thing she gets is chance damage and explosion radius, which is not bad, but it's still low modifiers in contrast to, like we were saying earlier, something like Asuka Fire. In fact, her own effect, she's giving herself 11% attack at level 5. Even if I was to take this to level 10, it's like less than 20% attack buff. By today's standards, is just no bueno. Now, like I was saying, these are two characters that, even though they are bad, they can find usage. If you are not a tryhard, you're not a min-maxer, you can put these characters on a lot of raids. You can put these characters on a lot of content. Because even though we're moving toward this elemental content, right, where you need 5 teams of elemental, we are still using on every single raid, for example, Rapid Red Hood of element, Cinderella of element. We're gonna start seeing now Mihara as well of element. All of these characters can be used there, right? So if you like a character, I will say go get 2B. Of course, a copy of each MLB is not really worth it. This is the background for 2B if you're interested. And let me not move here, not you breathing. The background for 2B is this one, which is pretty nice. It's a nice background, but it's not worth the amount of pulls that it takes. Now again, if you're a waifu player, right, if you're like waifu over meta, pick what you like, there is no reason to be watching this type of content. When we talk about like meta perspective, however, I will say it's not really worth getting them. 2B hasn't seen any usage after this raid, unless it's like a Omega whale that got like a core 7 fully invested, but those guys have other core 7s as well. So all in all, guys, we are going into a really interesting time, because we're going first to Stellar Blade, directly, no fillers, to NieR rerun, right? No fillers, no nothing. Then maybe a filler, maybe. And then we're going into summer. So it's really harsh. And then remember that after summer, there is a third collab, always. So this year is gonna be asking you a lot of pulls, and so far, they haven't confirmed the amount of pulls we're getting from Stellar Blade and from NieR. If you're a free-to-play, you need to be careful how you're using resources for limited characters. That is why I say that don't get more than a copy, because it's better to be able to get a copy of each character and actually being able to use the characters you love than missing out because you didn't save gold tickets or gems or whatever it was. That said though, I think that's enough japping to talk about if it's worth pulling or not. In my opinion, it's not worth it unless you really like these character designs, which they look fantastic. So that's gonna be for this video. As usual, we're gonna be live later doing all of our dailies, so you have the links in the description for that. Good luck with your pool, NieRites, and see you on the next one.